Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Creators Outlet. Today, we are joined by the one and only Mike Barron. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you have had a heck of a career.
Well, I've had a career.
Well, it's good to have at least one. And you've had one. See, I know you. I know you back from teaming up with Mr. Steve Rude on Nexus, and then creating Badger, and on and on and on. And a little footnote: I think it was issue like 6 or 7 of Badger. My best friend, who actually owns my local comic shop, actually had fan art in the back of one of those early Badger issues.
I'll have to dig that out.
I'll have to find out exactly which one it is, but I remember pulling issues of Badger out of the Indie Comics box on the side wall of comic shops around here, and just being like, "Wow, this guy's pretty badass."
I'm about to release a Badger novel.
Ooh, a Badger novel. I know
Yeah.
you get the. I know you. I saw the Nexus novel. Yeah, that's a phone book itself. It's great reading, and ideal for home defense.
Yeah, but just don't use the digital version.
No. I like a real book. There's just something about it. I like to smell the pages and the ink, and
Me too.
have it actually in my hand. So take us through how you actually got started on this long journey of yours into the comic world.
Well, I always wanted to be a writer. Shut up! Get out of here! Ever since I was a little kid in Mitchell, South Dakota, I remember going into a cigar store and buying a John D. McDonald book, The Deep Blue Goodbye, featuring Travis McGee. I read that book, man, it took over my brain. And I had a revelation. I said, whoa, this guy's not doing this for a hobby. He must be getting paid for it. That's what I want to do. So I always wanted to be a writer. And then I discovered Uncle Scrooge comics by Carl Barks. When I got to college, somebody turned me on to Neil Adams and Steranko, and I was hooked. And we were just in the right place at the right time. I was working in an insurance company when a newspaper editor I knew called me and said, hey, there's some guy down here trying to sell us his art, and he draws just like you. That was Steve Rude. So I met Steve on the steps of the student union. He opened his portfolio. I gave up drawing, and we decided to team up. And it just so happened that Capital City Distribution, the second largest comic book distributor, get out of here. Sorry. Oh shit. Fucking. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know how these dogs get in here. We don't own any dogs, but there are always dogs running around in here. Well, but anyhow, Capital City Distribution decided to publish their own comics. And I sort of knew the guy. So I went home and I brainstormed the first 12 pages of Nexus. I drew them out by hand, which is how I used to write. And it taught me many valuable things about creating comics, such as pacing and layout, what to include and what to leave out. I gave it to the dude. He drew it up. We took it to him and they said, yeah. And we were off to the races.
And it hasn't really stopped for you since.
Well, yeah, it has.
But it's like riding a bike. You just get back on the horse.
Oh, I never stopped riding. At one time, I went through a very dark period in my life due to my second wife. She had a lot of problems, and she said, "We got to move, or I'm going to die." So I sold the house I built in Madison, Wisconsin, and I moved to Colorado for her health. Unfortunately, she passed away anyway. And during that period, which was about 8 years, I took any job I could get. I was a janitor at a respirator factory. I unloaded automobile bumpers. I packed mouse pads. I taught, I was a substitute teacher, more or less. I was actually just a playground monitor, a playground monitor. And I didn't try to write during that period at all. I thought, that's it, I'm done. But it wouldn't leave me alone, and I kept thinking about it. And when I moved to Colorado, I met some people who gave me a few opportunities, and I started thinking about writing a novel again. And so I started writing novels again, and I was writing this novel, and I realized, whoa, I get it. I understand what constitutes a novel and how to grab the reader's attention. And I've been writing like a fiend ever since. I have like 15 novels in print. Nexus was the first novel we published ourselves. We're also going to publish the Badger novel.
Well, I'm excited for that because it's been a little while since I've been able to read any new Badger. So
It's pretty wacky. I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's also, I do things in a novel that you can't do in a comic. Major life changes. I'm sure you'll dig it. It's PG-13, but it's a light PG-13. You know, it probably would be suitable for all ages.
and when's that due to come out?
Well, I'm trying to get some. I know this woman who's a professional editor who offered to edit it, but I haven't heard from her. I have to have it edited. It's done. I have a cover design. We're probably going to launch it in October or November. By we, I mean my wife Ann and I. She runs all these campaigns. I wouldn't be able to do it without her. Oh, what a coincidence!
Hi. So you've got quite a few novels under your belt now,
Yes.
and more comic books than we can count. 'Cause you did you relaunched Flash after Crisis.
Well, that was a long time ago. More
Yeah.
recently, we created a comic called Cue Ball, which we kickstarted. But we only printed the first issue. And my artist, Barry McLean, who's explosive. You've never seen anyone like him. Totally fresh style, dynamic. He is working on the third issue now. And Barry says he has it sold, so I'm leaving this one in his hands. And he's mentioned the publisher. I can't name the publisher because nothing's certain yet. But it looks good, and I'll be very pleased to have it out. Cue Ball is a martial arts espionage thriller. And there's a Cue Ball Facebook page if you want to take a look at the art and get an idea of what Barry does. Because, I mean, he's going to slap you in the face like the first time you saw Jim Lee or John Byrne or Eric Larson. He's got that kind of impact. And right now I'm working on the Florida Man graphic novel, of course. You've seen that, right? You've seen the ad?
I've seen the ad. I wrote up the PR for the Florida Man comic.
Oh, thank you.
When it launched on Outright Geekery, and we get to read quite a bit of it and do a little review on it as well.
Great.
And I love the idea. It's hilarious. I have cousins in Florida, so every time a Florida Man story hits the news or like social media, I'll get like a DM from one of my. Don't even tell me. We already know.
I get them too. People I don't even know. But then now I got a story about San Francisco man rides skateboard smoking meth using mattress for sale. So we got a West Coast, East Coast thing going here.
Sold. I'll take one. That's got me going already. But the new project, tell us a little bit about that. 'Cause you have the pre-launch on Indiegogo.
Are you talking about Offworlder?
Offworlder.
Off-Worlder is a science fiction comic. It's kind of like Highlander in space. Uh, it was conceived by Ben Henderson. And in fact, the hero's name, James Gunn, is one of Henderson's ancestors. They were Scottish lords. And Ben said, well, we got these Scottish lords, and then an alien race comes fleeing another alien race, and they can't fight because they're too decadent. They need somebody to lead them. And it turns out that James Gunn is the perfect guy. But it's a lot more complicated than that. And the art by Jordi Armengol is thermonuclear. I mean, I am so lucky to be working with some of the greatest artists in the world right now. But if you've seen the art for that, I mean, it's a lot of it's on the Kickstarter page. Your jaw will just hit the floor. Again, it has that impact of the new and the freshness, and so dynamic. It's also very realistic. Jordi uses heavy blacks. And that's why I compare him to Steranko to a certain degree. Steranko only did a handful of comics, but they have had such impact. I mean, without Steranko, there would be no Galassi.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I saw this, and just the images that are up
Yeah.
on Indiegogo are like fantastic.
Can you scroll down?
Yep. Let me just.
Keep going. That's not Jordi. Wait a minute. Is that all there is?
That's all that's up there right now.
That ain't right. There's a lot more up there. You know what? I can send you some images to your Facebook PM page if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can bring those up.
That's a typical Jordi Armengol page. Where is it? Come on. You guys are just... I sent it to you and then it disappeared. Hang on. I think Facebook likes to play with us. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh, okay.
And I'll show you the covers. We've got two covers. We've got a cover by Jordi. That's this coming up next. And we've got a cover by Pat Broderick.
Let me see how I can do this now.
Well, I can't find that, so I'll just send you a colored Jordi page. Hey, I don't know what page you're using for that art, but I'm on the Kickstarter page.
Oh no, that's this is the Indiegogo page.
Oh no, don't look there. Look at this here. I'm giving you the link here in the private chat. That's what you want to look at.
Okay, let me grab that.
But anyhow, there's let me read you the blurb. Do we have a blurb? Do we have a blurb? Yes, we do. 7th century Scotland. Henry Dunn leads his clan in a ferocious battle with Viking invaders. But with victory in sight, he is ripped from space and time by an alien race. The Anunnaki seek a champion to stop another alien race from conquering all known space. Aided by the Egyptian goddess Sarah, Dunn undergoes a hideous transformation, becoming something other than human, able to move through time and space at will, yet unable to save his wife and child. The fate of civilization rests on the shoulders of a troubled demigod. That it?
There we go. That's better.
Yeah. Yeah, now you see all three titles there. I mean, all three covers. There are three covers. There's Jordi on the left, Pat Broderick in the middle. I don't know the guy on the right. He's European, but he's also very fine.
Oh yeah, I like that one on the right.
Yeah.
dark colors, but the cover like seriously pops right off.
It's a
there.
dark series. It's heavy science fiction, and there's not a wasted panel in it, and there's no dumb dialogue either.
Rathgar.
Yeah, your standard Viking heavy. That's a nice panel. If you like that sort of thing.
I love this sort of thing.
Yeah. That's Geordie's cover, and that's James Gunn facing you, the off-worlder, and that's Rathgar facing him. I wish I knew this guy's name. Ben found him. I'll find out.
Oh, I can see it in the fine print, but
What is it?
I'm trying to work out the
Rathgar.
pronunciation. Cover B by Massimiliano Veltri.
Yeah.
Love the cover though.
And that's Pat's cover.
That's just great.
Scroll down till you get to that page with Syrah and her leopard. Yeah, it starts with the burning of the library at Alexandria. That's where the story starts. There she is. That's Syrah with her leopard. And the gods tell her to get out of town, that the only hope for saving the earth is to go to the northwest and find a crazy savage warrior. And so she sails into Scotland at the same time this battle is going on. And the sight of this Egyptian bark entering their waters kind of freezes everybody, and the battle momentarily stops because they think they're being visited by a god or something. This is a scene where an assassin tries to kill her, which is how they ran Egyptian politics in those days. Hi, Pops.
Oh, these pages just look phenomenal.
Don't they?
Colorist did a wonderful job.
Yeah, that's it. So there it is. The best premium we have to offer is the comic itself. I guarantee no one will be disappointed.
Choice of 4 different covers.
Yeah. Anyhow,
The book is always the best part. The other stuff is just, bonus swag.
maybe.
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 Because you never know what's coming.
Right. I used to live in Boston.
I used to practically live in Boston.
Did you ever read the real paper, the Phoenix?
Yep. used to get the Boston Phoenix all the time. I know you were involved with that and writing reviews for music. And
Yeah, I was the music editor. It was my job to go out night after night and listen to bands and talk to musicians.
I used to go out night after night with bands and carry equipment.
You were a roadie.
I was a roadie and not quite a booking agent because I didn't take anything for it, but I would book my, if I could book a friend's band, I'd, you know, get him in there, get him a gig, because what's better than packing $5,000 of equipment into a $50 car and driving 20 miles for $50.
I came from Madison, Wisconsin, which was a very vital and lively music scene. And I just spoke to several people back there today, and they said that every music venue had closed its doors.
It's a shame. There's a few that have opened up out here, just the outdoor ones, but fall just came and slapped us in the face. So it's you start in the mornings off at like 45 degrees. Nobody wants to go out and play their
Well, not in the morning, sure.
Yeah, well, not in the morning, no, but I mean, like, in the early evening when it's down in the low 60s, wants to stand outside on a would-be stage to.
Still pretty warm here, and we're seeing some shows.
Well, that's good at least. There's a New England music website that will go around, like the bands will tell them when and where they're playing, and they'll like try to stream them. But now, of course, Facebook is cracking down on all that again. We're not going to allow anybody to do anything again. So they got to go through alternate things. But
Well, we like to see them in person, and the shows we're seeing are outdoors. It's still very warm here, and we do see them in person.
Oh yeah, well, I wish I could go, but it's tough for me to get out. So tell us how this whole project all came together.
Which?
The one we just looked at, Off-Worlder.
Off-Worlder? Well, I was talking to Ben. He just done Ravage with Chuck Dixon, and Ben says, I have an idea for you. I would like you to write it. And I found the illustrator. I asked Geordie. I've been corresponding with him for years. I had no idea that his work was like that. So I wrote the first 24-page script, and I sent it to Geordie, and Geordie, in a fit of creativity, just drew and inked the whole thing. He drew and inked the whole thing. It's done.
Wow.
It's camera ready. It's ready to go. And I have a second script in the wings if we can get this one to take off. And, it's been a hard fight because it's not a superhero. It's not easily tagged. And neither one of us has a big following. So we're just trying to tell people you won't be disappointed. I mean, the story hits on all 12 cylinders, and the art is fantastic.
Yeah, anybody that likes Highlander or any of the, science fiction, sword and sorcery stuff will be sure to love this.
Yeah, I think it has elements of Star Wars, The Range, Arthur C. Clarke. It's a potentially it's a big story. It's a big story. I mean, it just gets started here, and it will grab you by the throat. But if we can get it going, it's going to open up into an enormous realm.
Well, hopefully we can help do something with that.
I appreciate that, William.
We try to spread the word on all of these. Let's see, Pops has a question.
Yeah, no, Pops, I still got about 100 left.
Pops, how many you want?
Pops got one.
They
All
make
right.
they make a wonderful Christmas gift if
We're
you have
having another cameo, my friends.
Wait.
it's like a boxing match.
Wait a second. How do I shoot this dog? Oh,
It's backwards. This is Freddie.
Hi, Freddie.
Freddie is our secretary and general factotum.
he loves his daddy. Okay, we'll leave you.
Cameo is over.
So, how many dogs don't you have?
I don't have millions. I have 3. I have 3 dogs.
Only 3?
Only 3.
I had to ask again because she giggled.
It's enough.
Pop says hello.
Hi. Come hi.
Aunt says hi.
So, in the long run on this book, how many issues, when successful, would you see this series running?
215.
Is that all?
Yeah.
215 issues.
Yeah.
It's a nice round number.
You know, I'm still writing Nexus and Badger, and we have a bunch of new Nexus material coming out next year. We're putting out a book that charts the history of the character. And, of course, Dude is going to self-publish all his newspaper strips, which he published several years ago. And I told him, but, you know, the newspaper strips were like this. They were too big to ship.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't do very well. But it's a good story. And Dark Horse was going to publish it, but Dude decided he's going to publish it himself. So he's going to run a Kickstarter next year for the Gormondo saga. And if you've read the Nexus novel, you know the story. Now, Dude's story differs considerably than mine, which is why I wrote the novel, but they both deal with Gormondo, Eater of Worlds. And one day, Dude said to me, Mike, what would be the ultimate Nexus story? And I said, Nexus versus Galactus. But of course, we don't own Galactus, so we created Gormondo.
The next best thing.
It's better.
Of course it's better. They just killed Galactus. So have the novel that Pop speaks of that you showed, how many pages is that book?
It's 403, but it's big print. See, it's big print.
Oh, that's perfect for me. I got to take my glasses off to read, but anything more than a couple inches away, I have to have them on. So now we want to let everybody know that we have the link for the one campaign up there, and I'm gonna throw up. Not actually. I'm gonna toss up the. We're gonna toss the link for the Kickstarter in the chat right here.
Yeah, also, Florida Man is still in play. And Florida Man is a much bigger book. Florida Man is 64 pages of story, drawn by Todd Mulrooney. It will make you laugh. It will make you spit up milk through your nose. It is the funniest comic you will ever read. It may be the funniest book you ever read.
I can attest to that. Yeah, it's a full-size graphic novel.
Yeah.
And it is well worth your time. I wouldn't eat or drink before or during the reading of this book.
Yeah, you know, some of the reviews said I had to stop every few minutes to wipe the tears out of my eyes. My wife got very irritated with me when I insisted on reading passages out loud to her. Florida Man.
Today's daily quote is,
Florida Man arrested for defecating on traffic from light pole. Florida Man claims syringe found in rectum is not his.
well, it's not mine anymore. That the first one you said reminded me of a news article I saw. Some YouTuber wanted to be well known, and he decided he was going to have a peaceful protest and defecate on Nancy Pelosi's driveway.
Well, yeah, he did that, and I respect the man. In fact, I think he has inspired a movement.
Quite literally.
I think that they should have a shit in. All right, let's not. That's enough of that. How dare you?
And next on San Francisco, man.
That's enough, William. Shame on you. Shame.
Well, I'm always leading people down the wrong path.
Right. Yeah, Ann wants that table back.
All the Nexus novels are packed up on her table.
That's right.
Oh yeah. So definitely hit up Mike and buy a Nexus novel today. And we'll thank you upon the release of her table.
The dogs will thank you.
And the dogs too. Now, let me ask you this. If you could pick one person that you haven't worked with that you'd want to work with, who would that be?
Chris Williams. He drew for Milestone, and he did a series called, I think, The Bank Shot for Dark Horse. And Chris and I have been planning a graphic novel for years, and he even did some art for it. It was a novelization of my biker novel, which is Hard Boiled Crime. It's about a reformed motorcycle hoodlum who goes to prison. And in prison, he finds God, and he comes out and determined to turn his life around. It's in the tradition of Travis McGee and John D. MacDonald and Jack Reacher and Philip Marlowe and all those tarnished knights who go down mean streets saving kittens and damsels in distress.
Do you have a link where people can find all your novelizations?
Yeah. All you got to do is go to Amazon and type in Mike Barron. Just go to Amazon and type in Mike Barron, 1 R.
There you go. Head over to Amazon, type in Mike Barron, and you can follow Mike as well on Amazon. So when he has a new book release that goes up on it, they go up on Amazon. Yeah, just a few.
No, I mean, I got a couple new ones coming out. One is called The Curse of the Black Rose, and it's a Western. And I wrote it under the name A.W. Hart, which is Wolfpack's house name for all their Westerns. But I'm very proud of it. It's about a killer nun. It's about a group of killer nuns. And if you like that sort of thing, you'll like this sort of thing. And I'm also just finishing up the 8th Josh Pratt novel. And I should have that into them before Christmas. And we're going to publish that Badger novel this fall, too.
And the Nexus novel, is that the first Nexus novel?
Yeah, I've already started a second one.
There's no dust on your typewriter.
No. And, when I started out, I used a manual. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, I remember having to do that. I remember I had to take typing in middle school, and my smart mouth got my typewriting teacher to launch one of those old, heavy secretarial typewriters at me.
What do you mean, through the air, really?
Oh, yeah, through the air. I can't say what I said then.
No, better not.
But the impetuous youth I used to be.
Impetuous youth.
Impetuous youth. What's a youth? So, who are some of the people that you like to read?
Well, John D. MacDonald, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's a British writer who writes historical novels. His name is Con Iggulden. And he wrote a 6-book history of Genghis Khan. These are novels. It's fiction. and it's one of the greatest things I've ever read. I couldn't put it down. The whole thing's well over 1,000,000 words, and every word was fascinating. It's just this incredible story of how he was raised out on the steppes, uh, uh, part of a kind of an outcast tribe, and how he had to win his way in and fight his way to the leadership. And then he builds these armies and he takes on China, and he lays siege to Moscow. It was just unbelievable.
In a 6-book set. Wow. I remember I watched the Genghis Khan series they had on Netflix a couple of years ago.
Was that any good?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the actor who played Genghis Khan. He actually
Is it called Genghis Khan?
No, I'll find the name of it and
Yeah, send it to me later.
And DM it to you later.
Because I'd like to watch that.
It was the I can't remember his name right now, but it was the same actor who played the headmaster on the Deadly Class series that ran on Sci-Fi. Just the majority of my TV watching is inspired by comic books. So, comic books and older TV.
I love Thomas Harris. I wish he'd write more. I like Stephen Hunter, who does the sniper novels. I like Chuck Dixon's series about Levon. Man, they are brutal.
I sadly haven't read any recent stuff from Chuck.
Well, those books will grab you by the throat. I also like Kevin J. Anderson. He does the Dune novels.
Mm-hmm.
But he also wrote two of the best superhero novelizations, The Last Days of Krypton and Enemies and Allies, which is about, this is Mac. We call her the Ghostface Killer.
Hey, Mac.
Well, I suppose only Bob remains to be seen. No, she can't pick Bob up. And besides, we've looked at Bob from both sides now, from up and down and roundabout.
Right when he was tearing the wire out of your headset, yeah.
So, we were talking about writers. There's also a guy named Chuck Logan who writes visceral thrillers. So they're just terrific, and many of them are set in Minnesota. I like Randy Wayne White, who I think is also following in the footsteps of John D. MacDonald. White's hero, Doc Ford, is a marine biologist in Florida, and many of the adventures take place in Florida. They're very well researched, they're fascinating, they grab you by the throat.
That's how I like my books. Be able to, like, within the first few pages, you start to get, invested into the book,
That's right.
Into the characters, and then you don't want to put it down. That's a perfect hook to a book.
That's my goal, always, is to grab the reader by the throat. A story is a dynamic narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And by that I mean dynamic narrative that the protagonist situation is in a constant state of flux. If he were happily married, he had no problems, the money was coming in, he was at peace with the world. You don't have much of a story until somebody smashes into the house in the middle of the night. Then you have a story. So how does a writer grab the reader by the throat? Well, you use every tool at your disposal, including a protagonist with whom the audience can identify, a fascinating character. And there's a reason Sherlock Holmes is more popular than ever 150 years after he first appeared. And that's because his character is unique and fascinating. Obsession is always fascinating. You also use a dynamic plot. And you just look at any Michael Crichton book, Jurassic Park, to see what I mean by that. Because if you say, well, here's a book about a modern day people cloning dinosaurs and creating a theme park out of it, well, that's fascinating in and of itself. All the writing has to do is be serviceable. I think Crichton is more than serviceable, but But that's an idea that grabs people by the throat. I have a book out called Helmet Head, which is about Nazi biker zombies, which is all I have to say to a certain demographic. Nazi biker zombies, I'm in. More books take a little more, other books take a little more description. And you also use a seductive narrative voice. You tell the story in such a way that the reader likes to pick the words up and swallow them like pistachios or chocolates, that they're fun to read. And one guy who veers in and out of this, he wrote L.A. Confidential. Do you know who I mean? What's that guy's name? L.A. All right, hang on. Jeez, guys, I got to do everything myself. Oh, no. What happened? No, get out. Horrible. I don't know what. And something happened here and I lost my screen.
Uh-oh.
Get out. How do I get out of here? Ann.
What?
Help me. What is this? I don't want this.
Just click on sign in.
Sign in?
It's right there.
Oh, thank you. Oh, get out of here. Get out.
There, just get on Yard Street.
James Elroy.
There, you're back.
I'm not very tech
He's
wise.
back. He needs help.
And I hit a button and something takes over my screen. This whole takes over the screen. There's nothing to click. It was something from Microsoft, the evil empire. I hate Microsoft. I don't use Windows. I advise people not to use Windows. We're probably being monitored right now, and in 3 seconds, the screen's going to go blank.
Yeah, the writer of L.A. Confidential was James Elroy.
Thank you. James Elroy, one of the most distinctive voices in literature. He writes like a machine gun. And if you've read him, you know what I mean. Have you? Have you read any Elroy?
Not that I recall.
Well, it's rat-tat-tat. He learned from reading the tabloids in the 50s and 60s, the scurrilous, scandalous tabloids. And they always had headlines like, rumpled redhead found in alley, and it's bang, bang, bang. Gangland boss gunned down in restaurant. And that's how he writes. Very short sentences. And he uses a lot of alliteration. Did you see the movie L.A. Confidential?
I saw the movie long time ago, but I saw it. Yeah.
Well, it's a good movie, and the book is very good too. But he's just a unique voice. He's a guy with a unique narrative voice that nobody else even comes close to. And another guy is that guy who wrote, Michael Chabon, who wrote The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. He's the opposite of Elroy. There's a chapter in his book, Telegraph Avenue, that's 6,000 words long, and it's all one sentence.
That sounds like how I used to write and get yelled at for in class.
It's not boring, though. I mean, that's his gift, is that his language is so beautiful that you just keep following it along all the way to the end. The chapter's about a parrot that escapes from its owner and flies around what it sees. Come on, guys.
That sounds strange and interesting in of itself.
Yeah, it is.
A narration of, from the parrot's point of view.
Yep.
I'm like, that is completely different.
Well, he wrote The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Yeah.
Now, we've all read that.
Long time ago. I don't have them here because most of my stuff is still in storage. I'm working on getting it back, but I was a big fan of all the book clubs you used to be able to sign up for.
Yeah.
And you get the book club editions, and I like hardcovers.
Me too.
But I don't like paying, hardcover price a lot of times. You know, some of them are up there, but you know, like $45, $55. It's a lot out of my price range. But I could sign up on the various book clubs and, you know, get them a lot less, and, you know, get deals, and all they got to do is tell me, oh yeah, well, this is a special, you know, book club edition, you know, and I got Lord of the Rings that way too.
I used to belong to the science fiction book club.
Yep, that's another one I had. That's where I got my Lord of the Rings copy, and it was like all 3 books in one. I used to have help, you know, picking it up. Yeah, it was, you know, it was almost as big as that Nexus novel that's taking up the table there. By the way, everybody, there's a limited supply of Nexus novels left.
On the dining room table.
On the dining room table. You can get yours today. Let's share the link for Florida Man as well.
Oh, can you show the video?
Yeah, I'll call that up and share the screen. And
thank you, Joker fan. Thank you, Outright Geekery.
Thank you for coming on. Let's see.
This is the novel, folks, on which the comic is based. Look how fat it is.
Oh, the novel. I thought you were talking about me.
No, I am talking about the graphic novel. I just happen to have the novel right here.
There we go. And we'll stop with that one. And we'll share. And boink. There we go. Let's take a...
Hey man, y'all got beer still?
You've seen the stories. Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Mulrooney are bringing the quintessential Florida man, Gary Duba, to life. Gary's just a regular guy living in a trailer with his girlfriend Crystal, but he's got dreams, big dreams. He just invented house suspenders that will secure any home to the ground in rough weather. And now he's going to show them off on Piranha Pool, the TV show where venture capitalists and entrepreneurs pony up if they like your pitch. But when his gal Crystal gains notoriety as an infamous amateur wrestler, she quickly advances to the pro circuit where her greatest challenge is an angry Australian grappler. Follow Gary and Crystal on their extraordinary journey from rags to riches. To rags, to riches, to rags, to riches. All while dealing with shady lawyers, toilet snakes, wild gators, cheating hearts, feral hogs, and problem shoppers. Back Florida Man today and reserve your very own copy of the Florida Man graphic novel. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
That is a great trailer.
Chris Brawley put that together. Todd Mulrooney is the artist. Todd did that cover. And that's why he's the artist.
Enough said right there.
Yeah. Now that's Floyd in the middle there. He's Gary's best friend. If Gary's the star of the show. He's on the right. And that's Crystal, Gary's girl, on the left.
The wrestler. What? Selling toilet paper and moonshine.
Oh, yeah. That's the splash page.
I like that, seeing the inked work.
Yeah, I wish you could read it with the text. I can't. I'm not going to read you the text. I want it to be a surprise, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, the art is just phenomenal in here. Attorney at law, I'll get you off one way or t'other.
Yeah, Habib's a major character.
House suspenders. Here's one of the toilet snakes.
That's going to be in the third book.
I just
Gary's
love
knocked down, drag out with the rabbit.
That's just hilarious.
Yeah, it's based on a real incident. If you search for man in rabbit suit fighting, you'll see it. And it's from Florida, of course. Doesn't look like that. Oh, that's Barry McLean's art.
Oh, that's cool. The miracle cure all in bleach bottles, and the gators underneath the table. Hey, there you are.
I wish I could show you Pat Broderick's cover, but hasn't been colored yet. We're going to get it up there as soon as we can. The premiums include a towel with the copper tone ad,
Oh, cool.
and a lunchbox, T-shirts, postcards with the copper tone ad.
Oh, yeah, there's the lunchbox.
There's the towel with the copper tone ad.
Oh, yeah. That's freaking great.
Oh, and at a certain level, you can be drawn into the book.
Get drawn into the book.
Yeah, you can be a character.
I don't know.
The more money you pay, the more lines I will give you.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, can't you imagine some millionaire coming in saying, "Okay, I want to say every line." All right.
Okay, we can work that out for you. Best promo video ever from Pop.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
just, if you're not laughing at the promo video for that, then you don't understand.
You ain't black.
Oh, okay, Joe.
It is a great video, but the laughs in the book are titanic. I mean, they are gut-busting laughs. I can't reveal what it is because it would give stuff away. But when you get to a certain point in the book, your jaw is going to hit the floor, your skull is going to explode, and your eyes are going to pop out. If you like that sort of thing.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like that sort of thing.
No, who doesn't like that sort of thing?
But
I guarantee you will laugh out loud.
And, not that I go to the beach in a wheelchair, but I still want to get my hands on that towel, so I'm going to have to get in there later on.
All right, William.
Might have to get the lunchbox, too. That way I can fold up the towel and put it in the lunchbox.
I don't know if it'll fit. But that would be smart marketing if you're going to ship them together.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to squeeze that towel in there.
Yeah, you fold it the right way and roll it, and make it so you don't have to sit on the lunchbox, but you get it closed one way or to the other. What would be better is if you had an oversized lunchbox, and then you could have the dude do art on the oversized lunchbox and put some of those Nexus novels inside.
That'd be a heavy lunchbox.
It would, but that's the whole point. You get an oversized lunchbox, and
you can have an oversized lunch.
Yeah. Well, depends on where you're going.
Right.
If I'm going to a seafood restaurant, I definitely want an oversized lunch.
Legal Seafood. I used to go there.
I went there once, and they wanted this was like 8 years ago, and the cheapest thing they had on the menu was fish and chips, and that was $18.95.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, I can give my friend $20. He'll take me out in his boat, and I'll catch the fish and fry it myself.
I had never liked seafood before I lived in Boston, but I love Boston seafood. And now that I live in Colorado, I don't like it again. Because we're in Colorado, we're far from the sea.
Far from anything but the next snowstorm.
Yeah, we had one of those last week, and today was 89.
It's always crazy weather.
It's global warming, William. Global warming.
Mm-hmm. So, tell us what keeps you going on so many different projects.
Well, it just seems that I get ideas everywhere, and I jot them down. And if anybody is interested in being a writer, my advice would be to sit down in front of a typewriter or however and write every day. Don't wait for inspiration to strike. You got to create ideas everywhere. And towards that end, I would advise every would-be writer to carry a notepad and a pen with them at all times and write down every idea that seems appealing. Write down interesting names that you hear. Write down things that strike you as a good title for a story. Write down anything that could be the source of a story. I can't tell you how many notebooks I filled up over the years. I have them constantly. I have 3 right now that I'm writing in. I'm trying to divide them up by their projects. I try to devote one notebook to each novel, and I just start out with those ideas, and then they start to coalesce, and I see a path forward. I see an inciting incident. And from that inciting incident, I can extrapolate the plot, what's going to happen, what are the major plot points, the mood, and the rhythm. Because as I said before, story is a dynamic narrative, and by that I mean it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. It's like a sine wave. It's in a constant state of flux, but there's a rhythm to it as well, just as there is to a good song, in that things have to proceed at what seems like a natural pace and to rise naturally from the situation so that each moment gives way to the next moment logically. And the ending that I always shoot for is the ending should come as both a complete surprise and a perfectly logical conclusion of the events that have preceded it. When you say, what? And then you think, of course.
Yeah, there's nothing I like less than getting a big to do at the end of a story, and there's, it's just, ooh, it was magic. I'm like,
no cheating. No. It was all a dream.
It was all a dream. It was all magic.
Nah, we don't do that.
I don't like that. I want like a, at least a halfway feasible explanation of you know, what has transpired.
Well, the story that appeals to me and that I like to write these days are stories that you believe absolutely could happen. And you say, yeah, this is real. And it's the novelist's challenge to make it real. And no matter how outlandish the situation, whether you're Edgar Rice Burroughs in Africa or Alexandre Dumas in France, you have to make that situation real to the reader so that he enters into it completely. And we call that suspension of disbelief. Because if the writing doesn't do it, if the writing keeps jarring you out and say, "Oh no, man, that couldn't happen," or "Oh, that doesn't sound right," or "Oh, you misspelled that word," and misspelled, typos are important too. Because they remind you, if you see a typo, it interrupts the flow of the story because you've entered into that story and you're gliding along, and then suddenly you have this rude reminder that there's some guy banging away on a typewriter that created it, and it jolts you out of the narrative. And that's what, I'm not my own best editor. My stories have lots of typos. That's why I need good editing.
I would too, because my spelling tends to be atrocious sometimes. When spell check tells you we have no idea what any of these words are. So you have two different crowdfunders going, one for Florida Man and one for Outlander right now.
Yep.
Plus you've got a few novels on the way.
Yep.
To add already. So, this would be a perfect time in the year of COVID to start your own Mike Barron shelf on your bookshelf.
Yeah. It seems all I do is sit around with my thumb up my ass, but somehow these books get written.
Well, you only need one hand to write, so.
Well, there's also automatic writing,
Yeah, half asleep at the keyboard when coffee stops working the way it should. Now, what was comic book wise? What was the most memorable project that you worked on?
I'm proud of all my children, of course, but I couldn't really single out one project. I mean, there's certain issues of Badger that I think are sublime, and there are other issues of Badger I wish didn't exist. Likewise, there are certain issues of Nexus that I think I just absolutely nailed it. Right now, I'm thinking about the next Florida Man. I'm already ahead on several projects, but I'm very proud of Florida Man because it surprised me. I mean, a couple of years ago, I never would have dreamed of writing a comic novel. It's just that every time I looked at the news, there was another Florida Man story, so I felt that I had been chosen, and I'm very happy that I did. I always say I don't choose my stories choose me, and that one chose me, and I really am pleased with the result, so much so that I now have an unending source of information of inspiration. And by the way, there's a second Florida Man novel out called Hogzilla. The publisher cleverly gave it exactly the same cover as the first Florida Man novel, except it says Hogzilla instead of Florida Man. It's a completely different book. The next one will have a different cover.
So you just have to read the title on the cover to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you write and complete one of these novels, how many months, if not years, of work goes into like a full-fledged 500 plus page novel that you write?
Well, I don't know about 500. We'll go for 400, but I figure I can write 3 to 4 novels a year.
That's still a lot of books.
It is, but it doesn't begin to compare to my friend Kevin J. Anderson, the author of the Dune novels. Kevin easily writes over 1 million words a year, but Kevin cheats because he doesn't actually type. He walks through the Rockies. I mean, he hikes through the Rockies while narrating the story into a recorder, and he has somebody transcribe it for him. But before he sets out, he works up a very detailed outline of the story. And Kevin has summited every one of the 14ers in Colorado. We call them 14ers. They're mountains over 14,000 feet, and there are 53 of them in Colorado.
Yeah, there's quite a few high points there. Now, I remember years ago I read his one of his Star Wars novels called Dark Saber, and still to this day it's my favorite Star Wars book that I've ever read.
I'll tell him you said that.
It was great. It tied characters together and storylines together from the original and only trilogy that I will acknowledge.
Well, what about Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy?
I have it, and I started to read it, and then I got caught up in something else, and
I'd say give it another shot.
I definitely will. I have, lots of time during the day on my hands, and I try to get reading in. I, do a little bit of prep work for all the podcasts. I tend to do the creators outlet. I try to do it at least 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. This week we've dubbed Prose Week because I had Frank Gogol yesterday. That was a pre-recorded show that'll be released later. I've got you tonight. I've got inker Rusty Gilligan tomorrow night, and then I've got Dinesh Shamani and Warren Simons from Bad Idea Studio on Friday night. And on Thursdays, Thomas and I get together and we do a little bit of comic book history. We do a deep dive into an old Silver or Bronze Age comic. And that's where we came up with the OK Boomer podcast. So we do that. Matter of fact, this week we're looking at Frank Miller's first work at Marvel on Daredevil 129.
Right.
Last week
I remember that issue.
Last week we took a look at Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 1 with Steranko.
Yeah.
Which was which is still a fantastic book. Still holds up to this day. I loved his artwork. A friend of mine actually got to meet him at New York Comic Con a few years ago, and he went dressed up as Nick Fury to meet Steranko, and he got the biggest kick out of it, and just kept posing for pictures.
Great.
I think they posed for pictures because everybody coming by was like, Chip Steranko and Nick Fury. So everybody got their cell phones up and got their pictures of this. It was, it was a fun little thing.
William, I got to go.
Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us. I want to urge everybody to head over to the links that we have in the chat for both Florida Man and Offworlder, and check out and follow Mike Barron over on Amazon as well. And reach out and contact him on social media and get yourself one of those Nexus novels.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great night.